Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 242 at scavengerlife.com.
Front 242.
I have no idea what that means.
People from the 80s will know what that is.
This is Trash Elf Radio. Welcome. Trash Elf University Nation. What?
This is a little podcast about selling things on eBay.
Selling anything on eBay.
So if you're interested in selling things on eBay, you should probably not listen to this. Okay.
Or you'll be bored.
So this week, one of the things we did was we went to a department store in our town. You know, like, it's so weird. It's been so long since I've been in a department store.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't even
like
know why there's a department store in our town.
It's like a JCPenney's, I guess. You know, it's just like one of those...
What's it called? It's Peebles.
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 I'd never heard of that before.
Yeah.
I think it's a small chain. But, you know, it's like, it's like a big box store, but they just sell, like, clothes and, like, perfume.
Shoes, perfume.
It's like, it's just, when I was in there, there were like 3 other people in a gigantic place, and I just can't believe it even exists, you know?
Right. But
I guess it reminds me that kind of store is for people who have to buy, like, clothes for work, you know? They work in an office, and they have to, like, keep up with, like, they can't wear the same thing over and over again, so they just have to keep buying, like, decent, nice clothes to wear to work. And,
right.
and I guess they don't buy them online. I don't know. But to me, it looks like clothes that you find at Goodwill for $5.
Those clothes are at Goodwill.
Right. And, if you buy them, at most $5, if not cheaper. But, these are like clothes. They're all made in China. It's like $40 price tag.
Right. Well, the hilarious thing is they had all these clearance things. It was like 50% off.
And I'm sorry, I didn't say that. The reason why we went in there was just people talk about you got to go to the clearance section.
Right.
So that's where we went, and there were clearance sections that were 50% off.
But we would. This is the funny thing, and we were wondering out loud. Obviously, I'm like, so is the price on the tag 50% off that price, or that's the price? Because, stuff's like $30.
Or it's already 50% off.
So there's some lady next to us, and she goes, that's the clearance price, because she was probably pissed too.
And,
she's like, what?
It's what it was things were originally priced at $80.
Right.
Then half off is now 40% off. But this is like a $5.
Yeah, you're like this is a little T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's just like... There were some headphones, like cheap headphones that were like $20.
So,
like, what?
I don't know. It was a weird experience. And that's only because, well, we'll talk about that in a second. It was just an interesting experience for us. It seems like, what's that store we were saying? What would be better if they had? What is it?
Ross.
Dress for less.
I loved Ross because the prices at Ross... Number one, the quality, because they get like brand name stuff,
it's
higher
like
brand
a clearance
name
store, right?
Yeah, it's like a clearance store for higher end places.
Right.
But a place like Peebles, they just start with like just regular like cheap brands.
Polo Association.
Yeah, or just I don't know. I don't understand it. But when we shopped at Ross that one time when we were in Los Angeles, I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
I would totally shop here,
Totally.
because we had to buy nice clothes.
Yeah.
But most of the time we don't have to wear nice clothes, so that's good.
So, kind of, we'll get to why. I don't know. That was just an interesting thing. So we've been talking recently about, like, selling on different platforms. Like, people are saying, like, we're selling on Etsy. And and we're like, we're trying Bonanza, and let's try this thing and that thing. So it's for us, number one is Etsy. It's really a no-go for us.
Yeah, it's really bad.
We listed, people were excited because they're selling a lot during Christmas time. We listed 60 things. I know it's not enough, but really, we just can't
can't do it.
Any more energy into it, and we haven't sold one thing. And here's the thing. People that love Etsy, I get it. Every platform can probably be very profitable if you put a lot of energy into it. So
we know that
if your thing is like, I love Etsy, if you put all of your energy into it and list on Etsy like we list on eBay, I bet you're going to do very well.
Right.
But for us, it's just like time is limited. I can't do
both. Because there's no syncing. I can't be like, these 5 things, right. I want them on Etsy. Etsy needs to automatically sync them.
Right.
I can't relist stuff. I just can't. It's too much time.
Yeah. So, again, people don't get angry at us. Don't hate us. We're not saying Etsy's a horrible place.
No, it's any place you have to relist.
We're just trying to share our experience that it's not easy.
Right.
And, we've just realized that we have a certain amount of time in our lives. And so we're just going to put all of our energy into eBay for now. Because it works for us. Okay, Bonanza. We've talked about Bonanza. It's like one of those things where we interviewed Chris the Coin Guy 2 years ago, and he's like, "Yeah, just sync it with
Bonanza."
We tried it. We're like, "This is great because we don't have to do anything. Yeah. It just sucks in all of our eBay things." And every so often something sells. During this Christmas, we're really selling well.
Yeah, we're selling like crazy.
Our sales have definitely dropped off from it's Christmas time. And I just want to mention, someone mentioned that you get charged if something like Bonanza charges you if something sells on eBay. And we actually heard this from 2 different people.
Right.
And I just want to clarify.
And I'll say I found this information. But,
go for it.
Okay, so I will clarify. That is only the case, and I don't know why anyone would do this. If you list it on Bonanza, if you're listing on Bonanza and you sync to eBay, whereas most people who are listening to this podcast just list on eBay, only worry about eBay, and say, Bonanza, grab all my eBay stuff. So if you're doing the opposite, listing on Bonanza and syncing over to eBay, Bonanza's gonna charge you for anything that
they charge you like
1.5%.
Anything that you list on Bonanza but sells on eBay. So
right. So it's not so Bonanza is not charging me every time I have an eBay sale and Bonanza ends that item. That would be insane.
And then, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. This guy emailed us about VanGogh.com. And so basically it's like another one of these sites, like trying to be an eBay killer. And he was like, and we can, suck all your listings from eBay. And so we tried it. And we actually sold one of our first things this week for $15.
Yeah.
And to me, though, with all of these sites, because there's other sites, too, that seem to do the same thing, which I think is really interesting that eBay even allows for listings to get synced and automatically taken down if they sell on another site. It's very interesting, but I think it's really important that any of these sites have like a real person behind them that you can talk to. Like, other people have emailed us about these other sites that do the same thing, and I'm like, I guess I want to be cautious.
Yeah, why?
I don't know. It's like, could there ever be, I mean, no one could take our inventory.
Yeah.
I just feel like if it's not done right, it could just be really just, I don't know. I guess I don't like the idea of our listing somewhere on a site that isn't well taken care of or maintained.
True. Yeah, you want to make sure it's a place that people trust and want to shop on.
Yeah. I also worry, too, like if all of our stuff is being sucked into multiple websites, so we have the same item all over the place. If for some reason Google starts thinking like our listings are
spamming it.
I don't know.
That's a good point.
But so far, those are 2 good sites, mainly because unlike Etsy, again, they're just syncing. It's a mirror of our eBay store.
Right.
And we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I love it. Trust me. I've done the work. The work is done.
Yeah.
Speaking of selling on other platforms.
After 2 years of interviewing people about Amazon FBA, I've been negative about it. I've been suspicious and skeptical, but people are like giving me, other trash elves are saying, look, you guys can do it the same way.
Yeah.
You can go out and find things like a Scavenger at yard sales.
Yeah.
For $1. But they're a newer kind of items.
Right. They have a UPC.
Just send those in.
Send them in.
So, we're going to do it this week.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah. Vic, who's a friend of ours from the blog, is at our farmhouse this week, and he is coming over to our house on Monday to help us start boxing stuff up.
We traded him a nice weekend stay where him and his family are staying, and he's going to give us a couple days of FBA tutorials.
Guess what I did last night? Or yesterday afternoon, you had this big community meeting you went to, and I was at home alone all by myself, so bored. So I watched a bunch of videos on Amazon. It's Amazon University.
I love that.
Yeah, they're very basic. Like, they basically just walk you through.
Real quick, like it's actually made by Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you're on Amazon, and it's like Seller University. It goes through everything about selling, but what I watched was the FBA videos. I mean, they're not, like, super detailed, but they're detailed enough that they're like, these are the steps. Here's your item. Here's how you wrap it. You have to wrap it if it's like this. You have to put a barcode on it if it's like this. Of course, now I can't remember any of those things.
What?
Kind of. I can kind of remember it. So, and then they're like, on Amazon, click this button, and then you'll start basically an FBA shipment, and these are the things that have to go in your shipment, and this is the warehouse it's going to go to, and here's your UPS discounted label. And it was cool. I was like, okay, yeah, I've heard of this process, and this is what they're saying, and I'm sure we can figure it out.
and I'm really impressed the people who just like watch some videos online and do it themselves, but we're going to be lucky. So I don't know if Vic even understands the process I'm going to put him through, but for 2 days, we're actually going to we have several piles of items, and I want him to show us how he scans them. Yeah. And then we're going to do it, and we're going to actually make boxes together.
And mail them.
And I got a bunch of books.
Drop them off at the UPS.
We're going to learn by actually doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
So after he's gone,
we'll be able to do it.
We will have boxes going to Amazon FBA. We will have done it, made all the mistakes. Yeah. And do it. And so I know it's kind of it's what I said about, okay, Etsy. Is this just another thing? We're going to finally just see, is it really easy to mail this stuff into Amazon FBA, and then Amazon handles all the shipping? And then is there enough of a profit where it feels like it's worth it? We're going to see.
Yeah. That will be the test.
Now, something that's interesting, just talking about Amazon real quick, we have that, it's nail polish. We bought 800 bottles of nail polish. Yeah. For 20 cents each. Yeah. Brand new. And so we got into that gated community. Gated community. It's like a gated community.
Yeah, it is. It's gated beauty. Category. We got into beauty.
And we put it on Amazon as merchant fulfilled.
Yeah. And someone already had it listed, so I just listed it under their listing.
Right. But it's interesting. We started to realize, have the experience of how competitive Amazon is. And it's all about these robots. These Amazon, it's repricers that I guess, because I'm assuming it was automatically happening. As we would try and undercut the other
person who has it,
it would automatically lower past ours, and we lower it again. It lower it more.
Yeah, I'm like, so how low are we going to go here? And where we have the same price.
So it's so interesting that this experience is going to give us is that Amazon really feels much more like real capitalism. Yeah, with cutthroat competition. Yeah, whereas on eBay, it's we don't really worry much about competition because, we're all finding just random things there's going to be 100 other people, maybe 500 people that have one item. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's just different.
It's just
the other thing too is when I was watching these FBA videos too, there's just so much you have to know. Whereas on eBay, you take a picture of it, you list it, and then you just ship it. It's just so down to basics. At Amazon, it's just you got to get into the category. Okay, now you're in the category. You proved it to them. Okay, someone else has it listed. You got to compete on the price. I'm like, oh my god.
Do you own the box? Do you own the box?
I have no idea what that means. Does it have the proper UPC?
Well, I think owning the box is people will laugh at me if I try and explain it.
Okay.
From what I understand is your item the one,
the one that's
up front that people are going to buy. I think eBay we really love it because it kind of feeds into like our punk rock nature of just, you just put it down and dirty. You can sell almost anything. And it doesn't matter about anything as long as you're willing to ship it. They don't care. You
don't have to get into a certain category.
Be in any condition as long as you list it properly.
And your buyer's happy.
And I love that.
I love it too.
Like you said, Amazon's more like we're having to put on a business suit, and it's like we're like you got to be for real, and you can't fool around. And I mean, not that we fool around on eBay,
no, but like
just, there's so much more room. No, I don't want to say error, but on eBay, it's like you can try things.
Right. So like the day after we got all that nail polish, I had it listed on eBay, and within a few, however many weeks, I was selling it.
Right.
And on Amazon, it's taken me this long to even try it. It's taking me, 15 days to get in the category.
Yeah. But, okay, so we're not trying to be negative here. So we're now...
It's just different.
Doing it full force. We've gotten ungated. We're going to learn how to do FBA. We're just going to start to send stuff in, and we're going to do the experiment. Let's see.
Just try it. Just shut up and try it already.
And, and then... We're going to start filling this pipeline, and as long as like cash is coming out the other side of the pipeline, it's fine.
I'm happy.
One thing real quick before we get into its numbers, I just want to talk about perspective. Okay?
Let's just, it's like you're at a hotel convention center, and you're like, okay,
how is
bullet point dinner? Number 7, perspective.
How is a chicken dinner, everybody?
Yeah.
People come on our blog, they're like, oh, this is great, I love the blog, you're helping me. I mean, I sometimes worry about new people that come across our podcast and hear us, because I always get concerned of the perspective they may be getting. So, like, they watch our what sells video, and, and you're like, it's this coffee mug for $30, or, I sold this trucker hat for $30. I sell them all day long. But you know what the perspective is like we love selling trucker hats.
Yeah.
But really, we might make $100 in a month on trucker hats. Stuff.
Right.
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah. It's a good supplement.
But it's $100
yeah.
that might have cost us $2 to like buy that stuff. But we're not going to live off of selling trucker hats.
Right.
And I think I worry people are like, oh, trucker hats, I'm going to go all in. And they go
all of them.
And they buy like 800 trucker hats. And I just don't know if you could make a business just selling trucker hats.
Right.
Maybe you could.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to try, it would be quite an experiment.
Right.
So I just want to make sure like we all have perspective, because I always try and do that. Like, I mean, it's awesome that we can pay 25 cents to $1 and make $30 on a trucker hat.
Right.
But the way we make a business and overall income is by selling all kinds of different things.
Right.
Right. And so when we talk about a pipeline, we're actually talking about like multiple little tiny pipelines.
Yeah.
So we have like our trucker hat pipeline,
right.
where like we made $100 this month, and there's like a coffee mug pipeline.
Right.
Then there's artwork and furniture and housewares and shoes.
The most random death pile tchotchke.
So it's really it's cumulative thing,
right?
Right. Like all of our income at the end of it happens because we sell a lot of little different things.
Yep.
And so I just want people who might be new, who are watching our videos and listen to us, get excited, like when we talk about like what sold is this week, and like it is incredible profit where you could be making like 5,000% profit on an item, but that's not really what pays all of our bills,
right?
And I don't want people to get disappointed that like they bought a bunch of trucker hats and they don't sell very fast,
Yeah.
Because I'm worried about people, Ryan.
That's very nice.
I don't want people to be sad and think I'm lying to them.
Look, that's why we say we like to sell lots of unique, weird, one-of-a-kind, bizarre items because, number one, we'd be bored if we only sold trucker hats.
Right.
Number two, people are shopping for all different kinds of weird. I mean, we'll talk about what we sold this week. It was totally random, you know, and that's what we like.
Yep.
I love selling that stuff. Some of the stuff we sold this morning, I was like, what? I can't believe someone bought that.
Yep. Okay, so let's do our numbers for this week.
Go. Numbers. Now.
Let's go.
Now.
So it's Saturday evening, so we still have time this tonight to sell stuff. So,
yeah.
But we're just going to throw our numbers out. Hopefully it'll be bigger than this. So,
yeah.
In our main store on eBay,
yes,
we sold about $1,100 worth of stuff.
That's okay.
It was kind of quiet, you know? And that was on 28 items.
Mm-hmm. Several of those were commission.
Yep.
So
it is what
painful.
it is. It was quieter for sure.
Yeah.
On Bonanza, we didn't sell anything.
Amazon,
we didn't sell anything. On Van Gogh, we sold $15.
All right.
And on Etsy, we didn't sell anything.
Okay.
But then in our second eBay store, we sold over $600 worth of stuff.
Woohoo! I was listing on there.
And it's interesting, you know, we talk about our second store as being like an experiment, our little small store. It has almost 1,000 items in it.
Yeah, look, I'm almost up to 1,000 items this week. I'll be listing more, and I'm trying to get it up there because basically our second store was like where I was listing our like death piles.
Right.
So there's a lot of low priced, random, just bizarre stuff there. And you know what? It's selling. Yeah. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
It is selling, so I'm happy for that.
Yeah. And so I don't really know what exactly this second store, what the experiment is telling us, other than just like, I don't know.
I don't know what
would this stuff have sold in our regular store?
Right, that's the question.
Or is the second store having some kind of like its visibility or not? I don't know. But for us, it's kind of nice just having another store that's making money. I don't know.
Yeah, if anything, it's just changing things up a little bit and experimenting. And, would we have made that $600 in our other store if all those items were just in our other store?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. But how am I going to know?
I don't know. So we made about $1,700 total this past week, you know?
Yeah.
Anytime we're making $200 a day, that's $1,400 a week. I mean, if we're making more than that, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're happy.
So, but it has been quieter this week.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is.
So one of the highest priced items that we sold was actually on commission. So we got 50% of this price. It was vintage fashion illustrations, a lot of vintage fashion illustrations that sold for $350. Buy it now. And,
we got to thank the several people that had messaged us, and they said that they were really cool, these little vintage fashion illustrations, and that, people were telling us that they were worth much more than we were putting them up for.
So I put them up for high, thinking, someone will give me an offer. Someone paid for it, $350 full price. Yeah. I was happy.
And could we sold each one for more its money? Maybe, but did we want to do that? No,
we didn't.
It's just one of those things. As an eBay, a seller, you just make that choice whether or not you're trying to put a lot of time into something or not.
So another high-priced item that we sold that you saw on the What Sold video was a vintage LL Bean duffel bag. It sold for $200 full price. It's just, I think we found this in the, look, the great thing about bags and luggage, most of the time in regular thrift stores, they're just thrown in the corner. People think they're junk. They don't know what they're worth. And, this LL Bean bag probably cost us $1. And we sold it for $200 just because I looked it up.
Yep.
Saw, okay, people like the vintage, 80s LL Bean.
Something else we sold, it's so random. We sold a random, like a tile.
It's a trivet.
Like something like a pot holder.
Look, I sell trivets all the time.
See, that's where the perspective it's going to come in. We say all the time. We might sell, like 1 or 2 a month.
Right. But think about that. 1 or 2 a month over a year is like 25 trivets over a year.
Right.
Like, who knew?
And we sold it for $25.
Right.
And And you're like, why would anyone buy this? Especially for $25, because it's very specific.
Right.
Like, it had...
U.S. Naval Academy 50th anniversary of the class of 1934. That's very specific.
But that's what we love, because it's so specific. And if someone wants it, like, there's no competition, you know? Someone from that class or whatever.
Or their grandfather was in that class, or... they just thought it was a cool pattern. Right. Yep. They're into military stuff.
So it's very cool. We also sold a bar of soap for $25.
Hermes.
Yeah.
Or if
Hermes.
You're just a regular American, Hermes.
And it's so weird. We had 4 of these bars of soap. So we made like $100 on 4 bars of soap. And I'm just like, who buys this? Like
why are you buying a bar of soap for $25?
It's like, is it a gift, you know? So someone's like, ooh, you know, fancy bar. Or does someone actually use it? Like, does someone buys it for $25, takes it out of the packaging, and then just like
uses it
in the shower? I mean, I
have no idea. Honestly, I don't know. And
then if people are like that, like, why would they be buying it on eBay? You'd think they just go to the Hermes store and like, you know.
Hermes. Yeah, but
I'm gonna say it the way I want to say it.
Well, because maybe at the store it costs $40. I don't know, really, to be honest with you.
There you go. It's $25
bar soap.
I noticed this week we only sold 1 sweater and 1 coat.
Yes.
So I don't know.
It's cold out.
I wish we sold more
What's going on?
Coats and sweaters, but
okay. So this next sale is all you. You have to explain it, because I saw it and was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we found like one of these little small independent little thrift store, junk stores,
antique, whatever.
And you know, he's a cool guy. He buys storage.
Yeah, he buys storage lockers,
and he's a smart guy, and he knows how to check things out on his phone. So some of his prices are all over the place.
Right.
But not everyone can research everything, and some things people don't care about. So anyway, I saw a clock.
Yeah,
and it was cool. Like, to me, it looked it was
Art
clock.
Deco.
Art Deco.
But here's the thing with this clock. 2 things. I think it was Art Deco. It was gold and glass. But if you didn't have a trained eye, you'd think it was from the 80s. So I think they thought it was from the 80s, and I think that they didn't know how it worked. So I think they thought it was broken.
He thought it was broken because the hands weren't working well. But I'm like, $3.
Let's try it.
I mean, someone might just buy it because it looks cool, and then we take it home. I look up the model. I look on YouTube. Someone explains how it works.
Right.
I got it to work very easily, and we sold it for $120.
Yeah, because it is Art Deco. Well, it's from the 50s or 60s, but it's in the Art Deco kind of style.
So that's just one of those things.
$120. We bought it for $3. Yeah. That was a great sale.
And then the last thing we'll talk about is, and we always sell these.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. Cummerbunds.
But it's called a Cummerbund.
Cummerbund.
There's no B. It's the worst word, because Google won't correct it if you type it wrong. So I had to
Cummerbund.
Cummerbund.
You know, like what, guys wear to prom or whatever. So it sold for $37.
Yeah.
And this is where I say we always sell these. And which just means, like, when we see these like vintage cummerbunds, we always get them because they're always like $1.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. The only thing I can think of is that it's just such a specialty item. So if a guy wants to be funny and dress up and have one of these things around his waist,
right?
Like, where's he gonna go? To like Al's tuxedo rental?
Yeah. And
then they're all cheap and expensive, but the ones we're finding are like patterns,
or they're vintage. Well, okay, you didn't mention that this one was like a tartan plaid.
Yeah,
that's cool. Why it was cool, because it was like and it came with a bow tie.
Right.
So it was kind of a set. It was vintage tartan plaid. That to me is like some guy is going to some like Scottish wedding, and he's like, I gotta have this.
So and I will say, there was a time when you didn't think it was a good idea to buy these.
You bought like 5 of them, and I was like, no way. And you know what? They're selling.
Yep.
So hats off to you, my friend.
Why, thank you very much.
Okay. It's getting late. Okay, customer issues.
Okay, so a hat is being returned to us. So someone said, "Oh, it's too small. I'm going to send it back. I'll pay for everything, no problem."
Right.
But the problem is, well, it's not a problem.
It's not a problem for me.
They haven't shipped it back yet.
Yeah.
And we're like, that's great. And actually,
fantastic.
there are
Don't
two
ship
other
it back.
items that haven't been returned to us, people
In
that
a
said
month.
they're going to. And we got like the automated email from eBay where they're like, Have
you received... Okay, so it was 2 different pairs of boots, and the people were like, these don't fit. And so, according to eBay, they need to print the label and send it back. And neither of them have done that.
And I only bring this up when people get kind of hung up on returns and accepting returns and turning on hassle-free returns. I mean, we find that about 25% of people that say they're going to return something just
don't
never
return
return it. So it's kind of like, that's awesome. you know?
Exactly. Okay, so this was a real bummer. So I sold this partial bottle of perfume. It was 20% full, and I had not had a problem with this before. I said it in the title, I said it in the item conditions, and I said it in the description.
There's a photo of it.
There's a photo of how much is in it. It said 20%. She wrote to us and said, "You lied. The listing said 80%." And of course, how would I have changed it? I can't change it. So we just wrote back and we were like, it does say 20% in the listing. There are photos. And just mail it back.
But we said we take a return for any reason. The problem is she shipped it outside of hassle-free.
She didn't open a case.
Right.
She shipped it outside of hassle-free returns. And there's no way to like... I called eBay and they said, make your buyer open a case, which sucks for this reason. Number 1, she's mad because she has buyer's remorse. And number 2, you're like, if she opens a case, she's going to say item not described when I clearly described it as such.
Okay, but I think you're missing a point that's not being clear here. So the problem was because she didn't send it through hassle-free returns.
Right.
When we went to go and refund her, they don't allow us to do a partial refund because we were just going to refund her. Right.
I was just going to refund her the price of the item.
Right.
But if you go through the resolution center and you cancel it, because there's no case open to do it through, they're like, okay, do all the original shipping. Everything. And I'm like, that sucks.
So it was really no good solution for us because number 1, she was mad.
Right.
And number 2, there's no case open. So we actually thought about it for about 20 minutes, unfortunately. And we just came to the conclusion that we tell everybody else. We have to take our own advice. We just refunded her everything. We paid for the shipping.
I didn't pay for the shipping back to me because I don't have any responsibility for that.
But I mean we refunded everything she paid.
Right, which sucks for us. But I pictured this happening. I give her just the price of this happened to me over the summer. Just the price of the item. And she writes back, I expect a full return, and gives us negative feedback. And I'm like, I am not getting negative feedback for this.
For whatever,
for $20, over like $4. So I relisted it. So that's one of those situations where you're just like, it's just the price of the
I mean,
business.
but I get when people get really into it because my thing is it's about justice. I mean, lady,
we did nothing wrong.
It's like we did nothing wrong. If you're unhappy, don't be mad at us because you didn't read it correctly or whatever. I mean,
and she doesn't go through the proper channels to return it.
So, but as a seller, I'm like, we make so much money selling these kind of things. Let's just eat a little bit of profit
and not get negative feedback.
That way, everything's done. And you know what? Other than us talking about us now, I had forgotten about it.
I know.
So
let's move on then.
Yeah. So just a couple links we wanted to talk about. There is a site that is a good one. If you want to see where the kinds of items that maybe a lot of us sell, where it would fit into, like what kind of homes.
Yeah.
And that site is called
Remodelista. It's a weird word, but they actually made a book that we got. I don't know where we got this book.
And these are just like cool hip houses that people are remodeling and kind of funky, but the kind of stuff that those of us who sell like kind of weird, that's where it's go. So if ever you're wondering like where does this like a vintage bowling pin go? It would go into a house like this. And you can kind of see that, to me, it does look cool.
Yeah,
and
they make it work.
And so it helps train our eye when we're out in a thrift store and we're like, oh yeah, that would be cool. It looks like junk in one here in this pile. In this
context,
but in this other context, it'll look cool.
Exactly.
All right, so things we learned in the comments. I'm just going to briefly say this. In the last podcast on the post, I thought we'd found a cool IRS rule that would help us all not have to keep track of costs of goods sold. Because, taxes are coming up. Everyone's like, how do I tell what I sold, what I didn't? Because that's what you can write off on your taxes.
Right.
I thought I'd found a rule, and I posted it on the blog, and it became a very emotional day for everybody.
Right.
It's never very helpful when someone's like, you're wrong and I'm right. That's not very helpful.
Right.
But it was good. People actually that didn't agree took the time to actually share links that explained why this rule I thought I had found would not work. And so, to me, it just shows me how confusing the IRS rules are, which I know everyone complains about. At the end of the day, I got to go back to what I should have just done in the first place. If you have questions about taxes, see a CPA. Get an accountant.
You gotta do it. If you're confused, if it's stressing you out, and you do your taxes by yourself, and you're afraid you're gonna get audited, it is worth the money to get an accountant.
Yeah.
End of story.
Because they'll help you. I know our accountant's great because he just helps. He helps give us perspective on like what an IRS thinks is red flags, what aren't red flags, what's normal, what's justified, and that's what.
I don't want to pay for a CPA either. We pay hundreds of dollars to this guy, but at the end of the day, when the taxes are done, I'm like, I feel a burden has been lifted. I'm like, great. I'm so glad. And that money you paid your CPA is tax deductible because it's a business expense.
Yep.
That's even better.
And if you know how to do your taxes and don't mind figuring out how things work, that's awesome too.
That's amazing.
So one other thing we had talked about in the comments was we were talking about buying and renting cars.
Yes.
Like last week we had talked about how our neighbors have each bought brand new cars, and some folks were kind of angry because they felt we were judging our neighbors, and some people need to have big SUVs, and I get it. And we didn't mean to come off about judging like they're bad people.
Yeah, because, I don't think that at all.
And some people are like, well, how do you know they didn't buy the car in cash? Okay, maybe they did. I guess our point is simply that we do know in this country that there are a lot of people that love to buy new cars. Yeah. And they love to always have a new car. And they spend a lot of their income having nice cars. Right. And our thing is that in our lifestyle, removing a car payment is one of the easiest ways to cut down on expenses. Right. So if people are like trying to sell on eBay, not have to work for someone else, and they're trying to make their numbers work, I guess our suggestion is always look to your car. Right. Like if you have a brand new car and you're paying, $200, $300, $400 a month on this thing, maybe it's better to give that car up and just to go and buy a $2,000 car.
Right, exactly.
Whatever. And then just see, last thing about cars is, Steve Schultz, who we like a lot, says that, he looks at his numbers and sees a car in a different way. He's like, I lease a Civic.
I love a Honda Civic.
For $192 a month.
Right.
Which is incredible. I didn't know that you could lease one. And so he says he always just has a new car, Yeah. Like, I guess he trades it in every couple of years. And he is right in the sense, like, in that way, he has a built-in cost. Yep. He gets a lot, I guess, out of having a nice car, and he never has to worry about fixing it or anything like that. So,
and a Honda Civic is great on gas.
So, I guess at the end of the day, you can do anything you want. You can buy a big SUV. I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as the numbers work for you and it's not causing a burden of debt. Right. Or if it is, then don't complain about it because you're making a choice. That's all.
I think when we talk about this, we're always wanting people and ourselves to be able to cut down on expenses. And I think that there is a thing, especially for young people, where they feel like, I have to do this. I have to, have the nicer thing and the better thing. And, we're always trying to be like, but does it make sense to you? If it makes sense to you and you're happy, okay, that's great. But if you're like, oh, this thing, but I have to have it. Right. I'm supposed to have it. I'm like, that's not the right thing the way to think about it,
And then one last thing, someone had emailed us about this blog post, and I will link to it on that thing on our blog. And he talks about how much money are you really making on Amazon? And the only reason why it was interesting is that he was saying you can make money on Amazon, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he was talking specifically about when you read and you listen to people who say, I made $100,000 on Amazon. He said he specifically had gone to like one of those hotel.
Oh, the seminar, like the one we're running right now in our house.
And he says, and then like they had these. The whole thing was about these services, these courses that you could take, and everyone's there to learn how to do it. And each speaker would come up and be like, I made $1 million, I made $100,000. And so all he said was, he says it's a mistake for people to compare other people's outsides with their own insides.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, when someone says, I made $100,000, you really don't know how much the expenses are.
Right.
So
that's why,
And so, because each of us know, when I say, I made, $100,000 on eBay, only I know what the actual inside money is.
Right.
What I made at the end of the day.
Right.
So,
well, that's why when people come on the blog constantly, I made $15,000 last month. Well, how much was it net versus gross? Because that's two totally different numbers.
It's just interesting, though, but what he says that, we never really know what other people are making. And it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
We share our numbers, again, not that we're trying to brag, because trust me, other people are making more money than we are selling on eBay.
Absolutely.
The only reason why we share that is to help people getting started, to give people a picture of what is possible.
Right.
Right. That's all.
Exactly.
And but I think that would be really good, is that, none of us really know the net profit that anyone else is making.
Right.
And honestly, it doesn't really matter if you're trying to compare.
Yeah, because like we always say, the numbers just have to work for you.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if someone else is making $100,000 a month.
Yep.
It's fine. Okay. How many employees do they have? How much are they spending on their credit card, et cetera, et cetera? Does your business make sense for you?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. All right. So what our coming week will be like. I do not want to be boring, but this is what running an eBay business is.
Thing we said last week.
I'm continuing to take photos of artwork that we're selling for somebody else. That and then actually I have 2 tubs of like gym bags, like of a luggage.
Okay.
That I need to take pictures of.
Yes, let's take pictures of things that are ours and not on commission, please.
Both.
We can do both. We also have 2 days dedicated to figuring out Amazon FBA.
Right.
That's huge.
Right.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Let's make $100,000 a month on Amazon.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some phone calls this week. Again, you can always call us and leave a message or a question or a comment. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hey guys, your podcast is super awesome. I just have a quick question. I was selling something on eBay and it got removed because the company asked me not to sell it as workouts, that there's literally pages and pages of that exact same workout on eBay. It's just, I have a couple from the same company and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I just there's no workaround.
Okay, for some reason your phone call got cut off right at the end there. That's weird. I always think it's weird when you lists something on eBay, it gets taken down, and then there's a bunch on there. But
well, I mean, I think my question was, did you say like why it got taken down? Is it like copyright or trademark?
She just said the company asked me not to list it, but what's the reason that they gave on eBay?
Yeah,
eBay should give you a reason.
I mean, but that's the thing, and other people are like, I listed this thing, but I do a search and there's 100 others. What eBay has told us when we asked that same question back in the early days when we had something taken down, they were like, it's like a speeding ticket. Everyone speeds, but you got caught.
Right.
And so that's just the way it is. And in this case, it might be one of those things where like eBay doesn't take you down, really. Yeah. What happens is like this company has like an intern that's just like going, like his job is to like just look at
flag
eBay.
Things.
And then he's flagging things and then eBay takes it down. But if that person doesn't flag it, it's not going to get taken down.
Right, exactly.
And so I don't know. What you can do is you can try and list it and not have the name of the product there.
Right.
So it's a little more generic.
Then it's like, how does anyone find it?
We've done that before.
Yeah, and people will find it, know. Or
you just might not be able to have a higher price.
Yeah.
You can try and list it again sometimes and then it doesn't get caught.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. It really sucks when that happens. Although people will say to us, if it is copyright, if the company claims it's copyright infringement and you get caught over and over again, you have the potential of eBay like shutting down your account.
Right. Well, that's more of like a Vero claim.
Oh, really?
VRO. And that's where people are thinking you're selling counterfeit products, and they're really
that's different. They're really strict about that.
So again, that's why it's important to know exactly why she got taken down.
Yeah. So this next one is actually a text that someone sent, and actually somebody sent me the same email, and a couple people posted on the blog. I was asking what the lead seal pliers were, because I'm like, what is that? And so a lead seal plier is used to prevent tampering on electric meters or any kind of house meters. So what there is, like you've seen on an electric meter, there's a little wire, it looks like a lock, and then it's sealed with a piece of lead, like crimped on there. So basically it's a crimper.
Right.
And that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I felt like those pliers were so heavy duty that they must be something more sophisticated than that, but I guess they're not. So
and I guess now a lot of people it's used like a piece of plastic or something.
Yeah, it's a plastic thing, so it's kind of old school thing to use, but they are still used since I clearly sold some.
Hey guys, great show. I listen to it all the time. Get a lot of information. My question for you guys is this: I got a guy who wants me to do some consignment for him, sell some of his stuff. It's all high-end stuff, so it's going to go for a little bit of money. And how does the taxes work with that? Because he doesn't want any of it to go back to him, but I know when I sell it, there's going to be a record of it. How do I write off that I'm giving 50% to him? How does that work with the taxes or reporting in? Do I have to say who I'm selling it to, or do I have to... I don't know anything about it, so if you could just let me know what I have to do. Thank you.
All right, so this is one of those things where I got to start off with we aren't tax professionals, and that you should get a CPA, or you should talk to an accountant, because we're just people on the internet. For us, what we do is that we act like we're buying the inventory. Right. So if we do consignment and we sell it for $100, and then we make $50, we act like we bought that item for $50.
Right.
And so that's how we do it. And then as far as like the person we bought it from, claiming it or not, that's up to them.
It's their responsibility to claim that income. Because
really what happens is that then we send them $50, and then it's up to them to choose whether or not to claim that or not.
Exactly.
I mean, that's on them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how that works. Whenever we talk about consignment, we got to say we are in the middle of doing some consignment for someone. We told people don't do consignment. We took on this job, and really, it's no fun. I don't know.
No fun.
Everyone's like, yeah, but then I get all this like cheap, free inventory, and it's like so easy. I don't know. I just feel like it's more fun, and you make more money selling your own stuff. Because normally when people give you stuff, There might be some cool stuff in there, but for the most part, you're selling stuff that's not very fun, so...
Yeah.
If someone were to come and give me a bunch of gold coins, it'd be different.
I'd be like, I'll sell them for you.
Most times people are giving you stuff because it's kind of...
They don't want to sell it.
Yeah, it's not easy to unload.
Yeah.
Can you unload this for me?
No.
So is that it?
Yep.
All right, so that's it for this week. You can check out our blog at scavengerlife.com where, we shared all the links we talked about will be there. You can also join the conversation as well.
You can leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. We love it when people call. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
And we post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on our life. Wednesdays, we post our What Sells video, where you can actually see the stuff we talk about.
And you can say, I can't believe that sold.
And some people actually cool in the comments are starting to list stuff that they sold that week, which is
awesome.
Cool.
I love to see those.
Yeah. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube. You can pick your poison there. And yeah, you think that's funny?
Yeah. And we have another podcast that we produce about our rental houses on Airbnb. That's at shampooandbooze.com. So if you didn't get enough podcasts, you can get more podcasts there.
Right. And if you ever want to rent our vacation farmhouse and meet us, you can find that link on our blog. And,
yep. It's on both blogs.
And we give trash shelf discounts if you want to come to the Shenandoah Valley.
Yay, have fun.
Okay, this podcast is ending in
3, 2, 1, bye.
2, 1.